Imagine a sports contract so massive that it makes the record-breaking deals of Shohei Ohtani or Cristiano Ronaldo look like pocket change. A staggering $1.6 billion offer that would theoretically crown a young tennis player as the wealthiest athlete on the planet, all before she had even cracked the world's top 10 rankings. This is the eye-popping number that recently sent the digital world into a total tailspin, igniting a firestorm across Facebook and TikTok and pitting the reputation of world number one Aryna Sabalenka against the rising Filipino star Alex Eala in a narrative built on a foundation of half-truths and manufactured drama. Our story begins in the luxurious setting of Dubai, where Sabalenka was spotted training at the opulent Atlantis the Royal, looking every bit the dominant force she is, only for the tennis community to be stunned days later when she withdrew from both the Doha and Dubai WTA 1000 events, citing a right hip injury. This sequence of events did more than just disappoint fans. It lit a fuse under Dubai tournament director Alex Eala, who transformed the withdrawal into a public crusade, demanding that the WTA implement ranking point penalties against the world's top player for her absence. Amidst this administrative fallout, a colossal $1.6 billion contract rumor became inextricably linked to Alex Eala's name, detonating across social media platforms with such speed that fact-checkers were left in the dust. But if we look past the sensationalism, we find a story that isn't really about jealousy or personal rivalry, but rather about two incredible athletes navigating two vastly different financial universes within an information ecosystem designed to blur the lines between reality and fiction. To understand the gravity of the situation, we must first look at where these players actually stand as of February 2026. With Aryna Sabalenka firmly holding the world number one spot and having already banked over $1.6 million in year-to-date prize money from just 2 tournaments, including a dominant victory at the Brisbane International where she defeated Marta Kostyuk and a high-stakes runner-up finish at the Australian Open in Melbourne. Despite her financial and professional success, Sabalenka walked into a metaphorical storm after her loss to Elena Rybakina, facing harsh public criticism from figures like Pat Cash and Annabelle Croft, who questioned her on-court behavior and maturity, proving that even at the pinnacle of the sport, the pressure is relentless from every direction. Contrast this with Alex Eala, who entered 2026 hovering between the low 30s and high 40s in the world rankings with a total career prize money that had just barely crossed the $1.66 million mark. A figure that, while impressive for her age, represents less than what Sabalenka earned in the single month of January. However, the numbers on a balance sheet don't capture the cultural phenomenon building around Eala's name, which is exactly why the internet was so vulnerable to the viral claim that Abu Dhabi billionaire Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan had offered her a $1.6 billion deal to become the face of a new UAE tennis championship. To put the absurdity of this $1.6 billion figure into perspective, one only needs to look at the most expensive verified contract in sports history belonging to Juan Soto at $700 million. The Eala rumor describes something 10 times larger than almost anything ever seen in professional athletics, and while fact-checkers eventually confirmed the graphics were composite edits and the story was total fiction, the damage in the court of public opinion was already done. Compounding the chaos was a secondary rumor claiming Wilson Sporting Goods had offered Eala a $45 million endorsement deal, complete with a fabricated quote about her using the money for charity. Despite the fact that Eala has been a loyal Babolat athlete for years, and the quote itself was a stolen excerpt from an article about a professional golfer. This wave of misinformation created a toxic going-off narrative, falsely suggesting that Sabalenka was lashing out at Eala's supposed wealth, when in reality, there is no verified record of Sabalenka ever making a derogatory comment about Eala's finances. Sabalenka's actual frustration was directed towards Alex Eala, the Dubai director who had overseen a massive infrastructure expansion specifically to accommodate the crowd's Sabalenka draws, and who went public questioning the validity of her injury after the tournament's own doctor described it as minor. Tahalak's call for docking ranking points instead of simple fines highlighted a growing tension in the sport. Tournaments are investing record amounts of capital into infrastructure and prize money, and when marquee stars pull out, that investment loses its value overnight. This tension is further exacerbated by the tightening prize money environment of 2026, evidenced by the Indian Wells Masters, often called the fifth Grand Slam, cutting its total prize pool by nearly 3%, a move that signals a collision course between shrinking revenues and players' demands for larger shares. For Sabalenka, the financial stakes are real. In 2025, she was the second highest paid female athlete in the world, earning approximately $30 million between prize money and legitimate endorsements, which makes the narrative of her being jealous of a fake billion-dollar deal not just misleading but mathematically impossible. What she was truly fighting against was the use of the press as a weapon by tournament management to pressure athletes into competing through injury. Meanwhile, Alex Eala was busy building a real legacy on the court, reaching a career-high ranking of number 31 after a spectacular run in Dubai that included a historic upset over world number 8 Jasmine Paolini, making Eala the youngest Asian player to record multiple top 10 wins on the WTA Tour. Even in her subsequent loss to Coco Gauff, Eala showed remarkable self-awareness, admitting that a technical gap still exists between her and the elite top 5. Yet, the reason billion-dollar rumors stick to her is her unprecedented icon economy. With over 920,000 Instagram followers and an engagement rate triple the WTA average, she has turned her matches into cultural events, particularly in regions like Dubai where the large Filipino population creates a home game atmosphere that generates more social media buzz than almost any other player on tour. Her actual sponsor list, including Nike, Globe Telecom, and Bank of the Philippine Islands, reflects a regionally dominant commercial presence that is very much real and very much growing. As both athletes move toward the prestigious North American hardcourt swing of Indian Wells and Miami, the stakes couldn't be higher. Sabalenka is defending a massive winning check in Miami and fighting to keep her world number 1 ranking safe from Rybakina and IGA Swiatek, while Eala is striving to secure a seeded position to avoid early-round clashes with the giants of the game. Ultimately, the question that remains isn't about fake contracts or manufactured rivalries, but whether Alex Eala can translate her massive cultural influence and engagement into Grand Slam success, or if the sheer weight of the icon economy she has built will outpace her ability to close the technical gap with players like Sabalenka and Gauff. This story is a testament to the complexities of modern professional sports, where the battle for truth is often just as grueling as the battle on the court, and where the real controversy isn't the billions of dollars that don't exist, but the very real pressure of maintaining excellence in a world that can't always tell the difference between a viral hoax and a hard-earned victory. As we watch these two women compete in the coming months, we should look past the clickbait and the fabricated drama to appreciate the true labor dispute and the technical evolution taking place, because in the end, the only thing that cannot be faked is the performance under the bright lights of the stadium where no amount of social media engagement or rumored billions can hit the ball for you. Beyond the court and the balance sheets, this saga exposes a deeper, more unsettling trend in the modern sporting landscape where the icon economy is beginning to collide with the performance economy in ways that even the most seasoned analysts didn't see coming. When we look at the sheer scale of the misinformation surrounding Alex Eala's supposed $1.6 billion contract, we have to ask why it was so believable to millions in the first place, and the answer lies in the unprecedented way Eala has leveraged her identity as a regional powerhouse. In Dubai, the atmosphere wasn't just supportive, it was electric, with tournament officials noting that the 10% Filipino population in the UAE turned every match into a high-stakes cultural celebration that rivaled the atmosphere of a Grand Slam final. This kind of localized, hyper-engaged fanbase is exactly what sponsors like Globe Telecom and Bank of the Philippine Islands are betting on, but it also creates a vacuum where hyperbole can flourish unchecked. While Eala herself expressed concern over the speed at which these fabrications spread, her management team is simultaneously navigating a world where her marketability might actually be outpacing her current ranking. This creates a unique pressure for a young athlete. How do you manage the expectations of nearly 1 million followers who have been told you are a billionaire in waiting while you are still struggling to win more than 30% of your service points against a top 5 player like Coco Gauff? The technical distance Eala mentioned after her loss to Gauff isn't just a minor hurdle. It is a chasm that involves serve speed, defensive transition, and the sheer physical stamina required to endure the grueling 3-set wars that Sabalenka and Rybakina have mastered. Meanwhile, on the other side of the net, Aryna Sabalenka is fighting a battle for her reputation that feels increasingly uphill despite her status as the world's best. The labels of immature or capitulating thrown at her by commentators like Annabel Croft and Pat Cash after the Australian Open are not just critiques of her game. They are part of a narrative that often overlooks her immense professional achievements in favor of highlighting her emotional outbursts. When Sabalenka smashed her racket after her loss to Madison Keys, it wasn't just a moment of frustration. It became a talking point used to justify why she supposedly doesn't deserve the star treatment at major tournaments. This leads us to the whispers about the swoosh brand and whether Nike is truly snubbing Sabalenka in favor of younger, more marketable faces like Eala or Goff. If the second highest paid female athlete in the world feels she is being hit from every direction, it suggests that the financial rewards of being world number one do not necessarily buy peace of mind or protection from tournament directors like Sulla Tahalak. Tahalak's decision to go public with his demand for ranking point penalties was a calculated move that signaled a shift in power dynamics between tournaments and players. By pointing out the 2,000-seat expansion of Dubai's Court 1, an investment made specifically for stars like Sabalenka, he effectively blamed the player for the tournament's potential financial shortfall. This sets a dangerous precedent for the 2026 season and beyond, where players' medical privacy regarding injuries like Sabalenka's hip issue is sacrificed at the altar of ticket sales and broadcast rights. The 2.87% prize money cut at Indian Wells is the cold, hard proof that the era of endless growth in tennis might be stalling, forcing a confrontation between the WTA and its most valuable assets. For Sabalenka, defending her Miami Open title isn't just about the $1.1 million check. It is about proving that her dominance is sustainable in a system that seems ready to penalize her for the very human reality of physical injury. If she stumbles during the North American swing, the vultures of the ranking system, Rybakina and Swiatek, are ready to swoop in, and a loss of the number one ranking could have cascading effects on her 2027 endorsement valuations. For Eala, the stakes are equally high but fundamentally different. She needs to secure that seated spot at Indian Wells and Miami to prove that she belongs in the conversation of the elite, rather than being a social media phenomenon that happened to win a few matches. Her win over Jasmine Paolini was a flash of brilliance that showcased her potential to dismantle a top 10 opponent, but the 0-6, 2-6 loss to Goff served as a reality check that the path to the top is paved with more than just engagement rates. As these two athletes head into the Sunshine Double, the narrative of jealousy and fake billions will likely fade, replaced by the unforgiving reality of the hard courts. The misinformation ecosystem may have tried to paint this as a personal feud, but it is actually a reflection of a sport in transition. A sport where the prize pools are shrinking, the commercial stakes are exploding in emerging markets, and the players are caught in the middle of a war between their health and the bottom lines of massive tournaments. Sabalenka's $30 million annual income makes her a titan of industry, yet she remains vulnerable to the whims of a press that finds her on-court behavior more interesting than her athletic prowess. Eala, with her $1.66 million career earnings, is the underdog with $1 billion brand potential, but she must now face the daunting task of making her racket speak louder than the viral graphics on TikTok. The intersection of these two careers in early 2026 serves as a cautionary tale about the power of digital fiction and the fragility of professional reputations. Whether it's the fake Wilson contract or the fabricated Abu Dhabi deal, these stories were designed to exploit the very real financial disparity between the top of the pyramid and the rising challengers. In the end, the only way to silence the noise is through the undeniable clarity of a winning scoreline. As the 2026 season progresses, the world will stop looking at the fake graphics and start looking at the trophy ceremonies, because while $1 billion can be faked in an afternoon on Facebook, a Grand Slam title requires a lifetime of work that no algorithm can replicate. Sabalenka will continue to push back against the villain narrative, fighting for her right to manage her own health without public shaming, while Eala will continue her ascent, hoping that her technical development can finally catch up to the massive icon economy that has made her a global star. This is the new reality of tennis, a high-stakes drama where the lines between the athlete, the brand, and the person are blurred by millions of clicks, leaving the fans to decide what is real and what is merely a well-timed detonation of digital fiction. The Sunshine Double won't just be about points and prize money. It will be the ultimate fact-check for two players whose lives have been temporarily hijacked by a story that was never really about them to begin with, but about a world that loves a scandal more than a straight-set victory. As the first ball is served in Indian Wells, the fake billions will vanish, and all that will be left is the sweat, the grit, and the raw competition that defines the true spirit of the game, far away from the distorted mirrors of social media and the boardroom battles of tournament directors. The future of the WTA hangs in the balance of how it handles these clashing realities, ensuring that the sport remains a meritocracy where talent, not just followers or fake contracts, dictates who truly earns the crown.